How much longer do you intend to play?
At the most, a year. I just finished my 20th season, which is a blessing in itself.
Chris Paul has announced his retirement, and the league now loses its point guard. On November 22nd, Clippers veteran Chris Paul announced that he would retire after this season. The moment the news broke, people realized an entire era of our youth was gone. Paul joined the Clippers this year, hoping to make it his last dance. But it's become painfully obvious on the court, the Chris Paul we once knew has truly aged. His scoring has fallen off a cliff, sometimes he even struggles to dribble past half court, and in recent games he hasn't been able to play at all. Even the point guard can't beat Father Time. Looking back at Paul's career, it has been both extraordinary and heartbreaking. Extraordinary because Paul has battled in this league for 21 years. In those 21 years, he made 12 All-Star teams, 11 All-NBA teams, 9 All-Defensive teams, was named to the NBA's 75th anniversary team, and ranks second only to John Stockton on the all-time assists list. With a resume like that, Chris Paul is undeniably a legendary superstar. But the one regret that will forever linger, he never won the championship trophy that should have belonged to him. Drafted by the Hornets in 2005, the undersized guard immediately shocked the league with his explosive talent. Fans called him the point guard. But in 2011, to prevent the league's best backcourt from teaming up, Paul's trade to the Lakers was vetoed by the NBA. Because of that decision, Paul was sent to the Clippers instead, forming a big three with DeAndre Jordan and Blake Griffin. Paul's arrival instantly transformed the once-forgotten Clippers into Lob City. A franchise long viewed as a laughingstock suddenly became a legitimate contender. But during the Lob City era, Paul's deepest playoff runs always ended the same way: heartbreaking collapses, blown leads, or injuries striking at the worst possible time. Eventually, Paul was traded to the Rockets to form the league's most dominant backcourt, Houston's point guard and beard duo. Harden was in his absolute prime then, arguably the best teammate Paul ever had. But fate dealt another cruel card: the Warriors' dynasty stood in their way. After 2 straight playoff exits, tension grew between Paul and Harden, and Paul was later traded to the Thunder. Even though OKC wasn't a strong team, Paul became the mentor those young players needed. A team nobody believed in was dragged into the playoffs by Paul's leadership. Once again, he proved his ability to elevate a franchise. When he joined the Suns, many said Paul was washed. Ayton and Booker were talented, but still unproven. No one expected Paul's arrival to turn the Suns into a finals team overnight. But that's exactly what happened. He revitalized the entire franchise. The 2021 finals were the closest Paul ever came to a championship. But in the biggest moments, Paul suffered another injury, this time a hand fracture and ligament tear. He played with one hand, and the Suns' 2-0 lead crumbled as the Bucks completed the comeback. Another title slipped away. Paul then spent time with the Warriors and Spurs, but by then he was already at the tail end of his career. There wasn't much left to give. Finally, this season, Chris Paul returned to the Clippers to close out his career where one of his great chapters began. Even without a championship, he remains one of the most complete point guards ever to play the position. In today's NBA, which revolves around pace and shooting, we may never see a traditional point guard like him again. And that's exactly why a player like Chris Paul feels even more priceless today. No matter what, it's time to say goodbye to the man fans once called the floor general, the point guard, Chris Paul.